Welcome back, folks, to the oil series here with MACTFORDEDGE, and we have the Castrol Edge versus the Valvoline. Bang! Yes, we're going to see which one with the additives is going to be a better choice in this matchup. And stand by for the actual data that we got from the virgin oil testing. And I would like you all to understand that in order to get a hold of me, you got to join MACTFORDEDGE on Facebook for comments, likes, or anything else you want to say. We are on MACTFORDEDGE Facebook. So there are no comments in this on the YouTube, so join up there. But again, like the video and go see me at MACTFORDEDGE on Facebook. That being said, let's go ahead and get started on this matchup because these two oils are great competitors. They are brand names that we see everywhere, and we have all sorts of information that we can, of course, go through. So let's jump right into it. First of all, let me go to the cost for these oils so we can get a good comparison as to what we are looking at as far as the oils. These oils, of course, are going to be battling each other, and we want to know what are we going to pay for this oil should we have to go and buy it, and it's a pretty good thing. So we got a few oils here. Let me look this up in my handy dandy information section here, and we got to, of course, find the Valvoline and the Castrol Edge. And the Castrol Edge is going to run you $9.69 a quart. Holy cow, that's expensive stuff, isn't it? But what do we got the Valvoline running at? The Valvoline is going to be, let's see, $9.69 a quart. That was, of course, at your most notable auto chains here that you could buy this at. So the cost is equal. So are the additives equal? And which engine oil will you want to use in your engine? This is a 5W20 oil, of course, and we want to make sure that we have the best oil for the best cost that we're going to be running into. We're going to start it out. First of all, we're going to review the Edge oil, the Castrol Edge. It is a virgin oil sample, so it's a 5W20, and we are looking at, let's see, the testing results basically say that there's some different balances in this test compared to other oils, and they all have their magnesium and other detergent and dispersants that will be found in there, mainly calcium and boron, along with anti-wear additives. Viscosity is inspect, and there is a trace insoluble in here. More than likely, I'm going to say it's from the boron, since boron does have a problem in suspension, as noted in some previous experiences. So we're going to go ahead and move on to what we call the Valvoline. Yes, the Valvoline, again, it's quite similar to another oil that we had tested, and the difference is that they both have titanium and magnesium in higher amounts here for this Valvoline. And the viscosity, of course, is correct for the type of oil it is, and they consider that there's some suspension issue, again probably with the boron. There's a trace particulate in there, and they do say in both cases of this oil matchup that the trace amount is basically not an issue. Once it gets moving around in the engine, it's going to mix up good. There should be no problem with this oil as far as what we're going to be doing and using it for. Now we want to also move into our quantities and what we did check. And as per the oil introduction that you can refer to, the first video, it does cover what all these different metals and additives mean. So reference that as far as this. But we're going to jump into this, and we're going to first cover what we have as far as aluminum particle counts that we have in parts per million, and the universal average for aluminum is generally 1, and both these oils come in almost equal, with the Castrol having a 1 part per million aluminum, and the Valvoline was running at 2 parts per million. Normal manufacturing process remnants here as far as things go, so we don't have a big issue. Chromium count was 0 for both oils, which is good. We want to start out with no chromium in there because we can get that from the engine oil as it's being used. So we don't need to have that added in there while we're working with it. Iron count, again, due to the processing techniques by the manufacturers, there's going to be a small amount of iron traceable inside your process here. So we're going to have the Castrol at 1 and the Valvoline will be at 2, which is still consistent for trace metals in the processing for the Valvoline and the Castrol, and the universal average would be 1 overall for all virgin samples. Copper, of course, is 0. We have no copper in either oil, and the universal average is 0. So we're good to go. Lead, no lead in our oil, and that's a good thing. So we have a double aught 00 on the Valvoline, and of course the Castrol, no lead. The universal averages are 0. Tin registers at 00 for both Castrol and Valvoline. So we're good to go on that with universal averages of 0. No harm, no foul so far. Now we're getting into the big boys. We have our Moly B, or molybdenum. Yes, that's what we got, Moly B. And we have the Castrol being the heavyweight, coming in at 81 parts per million, with the Valvoline following up with a close 67 parts per million. And the universal average for Moly B is 69 parts per million overall, of course, with the virgin testing. Nickel is 00 across the board with universal averages at 0 also. So we're doing really good as far as anything being added in there that we don't want. Manganese is at a 00 for both oils, Castrol and of course the Valvoline. The Valvoline has nothing in it, along with universal averages 0. So we are doing great in this aspect. Silver, we have no silver in either oils, Valvoline or Castrol. No silver, and the universal average is also registering at 0. Titanium. Now we have the Castrol coming in at a big 0. Yes, we got a big goose egg for the Castrol with no titanium in it. But the Valvoline does have, 34 parts per million in the Valvoline. So the Valvoline comes in at a little bit better deal for titanium, with the universal average being just 2 for most motor oils. Potassium, what do we got going on with potassium? Potassium for both oils is 1 part per million for Castrol and the Valvoline, with a universal average of 5. So below that, but that's insignificant. 5 to 1, not much of a noted difference there. Now we're getting into the boron. We have the Castrol coming in at 72 parts per million for boron, with the Valvoline running a whopping 246 parts per million. Universal average is 95 parts per million on the average for virgin oil. So again, Valvoline decided to up the ante with a little bit more boron, which may cause what we had, our trace element, and boron usually does that. Let's see, silicon. We have 4 parts per million for the Castrol and 5 parts per million for the Valvoline. Not much of a big difference there. Sometimes they consider this an anti-foaming agent, so therefore you're going to find a little in the processing, but universal averages will run about 3 parts per million overall for most virgin samples. Let's see, what do we got going on here? We have the sodium. Yes, the sodium. How are we doing on that? We have Castrol with no sodium in it. Yes, low salt diet. And then, of course, the Valvoline is running 1 part per million. Average sodium content in new oils is about 52 parts per million. So both these oils chose not to do a sodium additive, which is good or bad, depending how you want to look at it. But sodium is not a major additive in most cases. Now the calcium. What did we got for calcium? Here we have some big numbers coming up for the calcium. The Castrol Edge is running at 643 parts per million for the calcium. And again, the Valvoline is, they're going to double their money on this one. they're coming in at 1,017 parts per million for the calcium. And again, that is a cleaner, so we're looking at some good clean oil there. And then the universal average is 1,920 parts per million for calcium. So both of them are lightweights when it comes to the universal averages. Now magnesium, yes, now we're going to reverse everything, and of course we're going to give the lead to the Castrol folks because they have 1,465 parts per million of the magnesium, with Valvoline coming in at a mere 799, which is almost double, right? So the Castrol doubled their money on that one, and of course added more to it. Universal averages for magnesium in most virgin oils is 75 parts per million. So we got some pretty big heavy numbers here for the magnesium side of the house. Now the phosphorus, we're going to jump up to that, and again they're not leading the edge too much, and I must say the edge does go to the Castrol Edge oil. They have 741 for the phosphorus, and then a close second is a Valvoline running at a 734. Universal averages are 649. So again, both of them decided to up the ante just slightly to come in ahead of the universal averages for phosphorus. Now last but not least, we have the zinc. And where are we at with the zinc? Well, Castrol Edge got the lead on that one again. They put 851 parts per million in their engine oil, and the Valvoline is a very close second at 808, whereas the universal averages are 760 parts per million overall for your virgin oil samples. And the barium, of course, is 0 for both oils, with a universal average of just 1 part per million barium in virgin oil samples. So I've never found barium to be a big additive, so that stands to reason for most of them. Now, how are we matching up with our SUS viscosity test at 210 degrees Fahrenheit? We have our Castrol running in at 54.9, with the Valvoline running in at 51.2. So we're going to call that pretty low on the scale for the Valvoline, and then of course higher for the Castrol. Will that cause us problems in the end? We don't know, but we definitely got a lower viscosity rating that may or may not help in the end after you use your oil. But not big difference, but it does play a part overall in your flashpoints and everything else later on. CST viscosity, we have an 8.75 running with this Castrol Edge oil, with Valvoline running a 7.63. Universal average is, let's see, 6.4 to 9.7. So Castrol's running pretty high on this one, whereas the Valvoline is running slightly lower. We're going to see how this goes in the consistency, because the SUS and the CTS viscosities for the Valvoline are both on the lower end of the scale, whereas the Castrol is at the higher end of the scale. So how does this end up in the used aspect? Don't know. Don't have those tests on those oils yet. But overall, they're going to probably fall within reason. Flashpoint. The Castrol comes in at a 425 for Flashpoint, and since the lighter Valvoline is what it is, comes in at a 420. Not much of a big difference, but I suspect after being used, both oils will be below the 400 mark as far as Flashpoint, so we can really expect that. Again, the fuel in there's no fuel in the oils. There is no antifreeze because these are virgin samples, and then the waters, of course, are 0. With that being said, we did have in both samples trace insolubles, which was the boron, most likely, that was hanging out at the bottom that they did find. Again, those would mix quite readily within the oils. Now, this being said, we have went over the additives in these oils and discovered some pretty interesting things, being that the additives do make a difference. But what do we have that is the better of the two? Valvoline is a little lower on the moly, whereas the Castrol is at an 81. So giving what we have to this, I'm going to say that I'm going to have to overall see that the Castrol is the leader in this smash up between the two oils. The Valvoline, you got some good oil there, but the Castrol, I'm going to say that one comes out slightly ahead just due to the fact of the magnesium additive, with the Molly B being a heavier additive also. And then, of course, I would say the titanium is a beneficial thing with the boron being in there. But again, the major components going down to the zinc and everything else, I'm going to have to give this a slight lead to the Castrol for this one. So that being said, I'm going to say that the Castrol Edge definitely got the edge on the Valvoline in this matchup. But you can decide which one you want to use. They're both identical in price. Therefore, it is up to a preference on your part. And again, we're continuing on our series, searching for those additives that, of course, will make the best oil for your engine. This is MACT, and by all means, again, make sure you join MACT Ford Edge on the Facebook group, and like and subscribe any videos you watch here in the MACT Ford Edge YouTube. And remember, today my feet hit the floor and I'm having a great day, and I want you to have a great day too. And with that being said, we got the Band of One playing some great music for you all, and of course bonus footage, and Mercy Girl giving you a couple one-liners at the end of this video.
Thank you for watching MACT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.